We're gonna do this after like 2 years. Hello, shalom, salam, and hola. It's been a very long time. Hi, my name is Michael, and this is Hot Jewish Energy. Welcome to season 2 of what I have formally called the Hot Jewish Podcast. For trademarking reasons, I changed it. So it's now This is Hot Jewish Energy, the podcast. So welcome. There's going to be a full, immense rebrand of this after this season, but we are here. It has been 2 years since I've been in front of this camera talking, just being real. And well, I'm always real, but being very raw, like more raw than I usually am online. And there has been a lot. For starters, Israel's in a war right now. Season 1, Israel wasn't in a war. And just to preface, a lot of these interviews, a lot of these episodes were filmed pre-war. So there might not be mention of the war, and that is why, because it wasn't in existence. It didn't start. That's that. Some of the episodes I did refilm after the war last year, so those are up to date, and those are more October 7th focused. It's been a very long time. A lot of life changes, a lot of good, a lot of bad. I don't even know where to start. Well, I kind of do because I already planned this. So in this season 2 season premiere, I'm going to be talking about just family related things, friend related things, and school related things, which is very, very touchy for me. A lot has been happening. It's been very emotional, especially friends and family related things in schools. So I'm going to be talking about that, stuff that I haven't really talked about online, and some stuff that I have and some stuff that I haven't, but you get it. It's just catching up. This is our catch up. This is me and you, friend. We're gonna talk. I don't know what's gonna happen. I haven't really sat down and talked about this stuff except with my therapist, which I started going back to recently. So it's gonna be a lot. I guess I'm gonna start off with friends because everyone always says friends and family. So we're gonna start off with friends. I am at a point in my life where I have really just hit a switch on the people that I have in my life, that I choose to have in my life. I was in modern Orthodox yeshiva for like 10 years of my life, 2 modern Orthodox yeshivas, and most of my friends were Jewish. I was in a bubble. I was a non-Orthodox person in an Orthodox yeshiva, and I didn't really have any friends outside of that. And then when I switched over to public school, my friends were still pretty Jewish because I'm in an area where there are a lot of Jews, mostly Reform. So it's funny because I ended up going from the least observant person in my yeshiva, one of the most, to being the most observant person in my high school, which was it was a very weird contrast. And it didn't happen until college where that really shifted for me, and most of my friends ended up not being Jewish. And I was really I felt like the odd one out. I had a lot like of Judaism still in my life, and it's always been in my life. And I had to explain a lot. And I think a lot of people relate with that, of having to explain things to people. And don't get me wrong, when I have a friend who wants to learn, it is such a gift to be able to share my love of my faith and my ethnicity and my culture and my people to someone who doesn't know. Like, it's the biggest gift you can never receive, to be able to share that with someone. With that said, it gets exhausting, especially when most of your friends aren't Jewish. You don't have anyone to talk with about things that are just common knowledge. Most of my friends were not Jewish in college. And then May of 2021 came around, where I started publicly talking about my thoughts and my opinions and how I felt about things, specifically with Israel. And that's when things started slowly shifting. That's when I started noticing that the people around me were more Jewish. I was immersing myself more in like the Jewish content creator space and the New York Jewish scene. And I still had those non-Jewish friends in my life, but the percentage of Jewish friends to non-Jewish friends was getting bigger. And this is when things started changing for me again. When my dad passed, and then, which I'll get into later, but my dad passed in July of 2023. Israel was attacked in October of 2023. So I was at a point where I felt like a lot of my friendships, especially with my non-Jewish friends, were kind of fading away. They weren't as strong as they used to be. And I guess it happens when you grow apart or when you get involved with different people. Specifically, the people that I used to be friends with, they got involved with the wrong people, but that's another thing. I kind of felt like those friendships weren't strong. And this was the first instance of where I lost a friend. Like I truly lost a friend. And there wasn't even a discussion about it really. So I'm not going to name names because I'm not that type of person. I like maintaining people's privacy because that's not right to just out someone like that. But we're going to call her, should I even reveal the gender? It's a woman or maybe non-binary. Now, I'm not sure. Last time I looked, I think they were using they, them pronouns. I have no idea, but we're going to call her Petunia because yeah, I'm not going to go into why I'm calling her Petunia. There's a specific reason. But Petunia, she is a pretty known person. She is big within the fashion world. She's a content creator like I am right now. She has a way bigger platform than I do. I was friends with her from college, and I saw her rise to, I don't want to say fame, but internet virality. And I stuck with her through that. I was with her at her lowest. I worried about this person. She was going to the hospital a lot. And I invested so much in this friendship. She had been over to my house for Shabbat. She had been to family functions. She was basically almost like family to me. Our friendship was a little rocky even before things ended, mainly on her end. I feel like she just, I don't know what happened, but I think the being online for her kind of made other things not as important. And she was also in a relationship at that point, or she had just gotten out of a relationship. I can't even remember at this point because it's not relevant to me anymore. But she just wasn't putting in the amount of effort that I expected from her, especially since we had been friends for so long and I put so much in because I really did care about her and wanted what was best for her and supported her in what she did. So one of the first strikes was that she didn't show up to my dad's Shiva. That was something that really hit home for me because I had been there for her at so many times where she needed a friend and when she needed help and when she needed an ear to listen. And this was literally the lowest point of my life thus far. And I messaged her the day after my dad passed and I said, hey, I really need to talk with you. And she said, oh yeah, no problem. I'll call you tomorrow. She never called. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm not going to chase someone down, especially if I'm going through something extremely traumatic and it's about me now. It's about me. And she never texted me back. I don't even know why, but I wished her happy birthday. I wished her happy birthday at one point, and she was like, oh, thank you so much. And I said, how are you doing? Because I knew she was having a tough time. And she said, oh, I'm being taken care of. Don't worry. I'll see you soon. Then after that, don't hear from her for like 2 or 3 months. And then the war happens, and my stance has been very firm. If anything, the war made it even more firm. She knew that I had been to Israel. She knew I had been to Birthright, and she actually said, oh, enjoy your trip. It's going to be amazing. No issue with it. She never voiced any hostility toward Judaism or Israel. Both of her partners were Jewish. At one partner after another were both Jewish. So she's had Jewish people in her life, and she never voiced any hostility toward me about Israel. And she knew my opinion. She knew my stances. She had been friends with me for a while at this point, since like 2018. And I didn't see it coming. I really didn't. All of a sudden, I think it was like end of October, beginning of November, I go on her profile because I'm like thinking, oh, I haven't really heard from her in a really long time. I'm going to see what's going on. I'm going to check in on her. And I looked at her profile. She not only unfollowed me, but she removed me as a follower. She silently blocked me. I go ahead and text her because I'm like thinking, what the hell is going on? And I message her. The text turns green. I'm like, oh, so my number is blocked too. Great. So I go onto Instagram and I DM her because at that point I'm not blocked and on Instagram, and I DM her. I said, hey, what's going on? And she basically, oh my gosh, do I even want to pull it up? No, you know what? I'm just going to paraphrase it. She basically accuses me of making fun of children dying in Gaza, which I have never done on my platform or have never done in my personal life. I've never made fun of children dying. I've never made fun of any innocent person dying. So I don't know where she's getting that from. And she basically attacked me for making memes about trauma, which I do a lot of the time because humor is my way of coping through things that are very difficult, especially things that are going on with my own community. She's also a person to be sarcastic about trauma and tell jokes about trauma. So if anything, I thought she would understand that of anyone. Petunia, basically at the end of all of this is the statement that really stung because I don't like when people do this, especially to me. She said, I have Jewish friends in my life that have way more empathy than you do. I replied and said, I guess I'm not the right Jew for you. Right when I replied that, blocked, completely blocked. I went on a laundry list of basically telling her off. I said, I cannot believe you just did this. I have given a lot to this friendship. You have been in my house. You have been to my Shabbat table. I have given so much love and care to you that this is how you end things. I haven't heard from her since. It's been almost 2 years. And when I think back on that, especially now, I realize that she was probably looking for a way to get out of the friendship from the beginning, especially when things started going south. Well, things started going south with the friendship and she was just not being a good friend. She was probably looking for an excuse to get out of the friendship because she didn't want to have to deal with it anymore. She didn't want to have to deal with me. So she accuses me of making fun of children dying, which I never did. And she ends the friendship that way because I guess she didn't want to see me end the friendship because she's a bad friend. That's how that ended. Apparently she moved to Europe. I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I have an account that I look at her account on that isn't affiliated with any of my other accounts, and I'm able to see her account, and that's how I check in because I'm curious. I'm a human being. I want to see what she's up to. I want to see what the hell is going on. I want to see if she's like fully been indoctrinated, which she probably has. She just doesn't post it on her platform, to my knowledge, at least not on her main feed. That was the first one because there are two more. The second friendship that ended was actually with someone who's Jewish. Who are we going to call him? Oh my gosh, what are we going to call him? Should we keep going with the flower theme? Chrysanthemum. Let's go with Chrysanthemum. So Chrysanthemum, I had been friends with him for a very long time, like over 10 years. Like we went to camp together, been over at my house. We had a little thing when we were young, nothing crazy, like literally for like a second. And we both didn't know that we were gay at that point, but ended up both being gay. This friendship wasn't as strong. Like I wouldn't go and tell my grievances to him. I would see him in like group settings. I didn't like actively go and hang out with him on my own and just intimately. One day, and I kid you not, this was December 31st, 2023, 6 p.m., 6 hours before the year switched to 2024. I get this long pre-planned text from him. Like literally didn't even see him typing for a while. It was like a little type and then this whole paragraph showed up. And he told me that he cannot believe the stance that I have supporting genocide, supporting apartheid, especially as someone who's Jewish, and kind of like putting all that guilt on me that, oh, we've been through the Holocaust. How can you support something that's a Holocaust, whatever? How can you support Israel? He ended the text message with this line, which really, I was just like, sure, okay. He said that I will have a clear conscience knowing that I did not stand with genocide and I stood on the right side of history. I should have just not responded and left him on red, but I responded and I said, wow, best of luck to you. I didn't know what else to say because it was just insane. And now his profile's full of Palestinian flags, full of free Palestine. I think he has grandparents that are Holocaust survivors or ancestors that are Holocaust survivors. And he's still friends with my other friends. And I'm just like, he is literally such a shitty person. He literally shamed another Jew. Like, you know what? I'm not even going to be, I'm going to acknowledge my hypocrisy in this. I shame Jews who support Hamas, and I shame Jews who support radical jihadism and support what happened on October 7th, and I shame Jews who don't care about the hostages and don't care about Israel, which harbors half of the world's Jewish population. I of course shame them because they are literally throwing their own community under the bus. But for him to tell me that I should be ashamed of myself for standing up for more than half of our community, you have no right to say that. You use your Judaism when it poses an advantage to you, and it's sick. It's disgusting. You appropriate Judaism to further a cause, the pro-Palestinian cause, which honestly is just pro-jihadism. What it should be is wanting rights for Palestinians and peace, but most of the people that are pro-Palestinian don't support peace. They're like, oh, the whole thing should be Palestine. I have rarely seen at any of these pro-Palestinian protests them advocate for peace, advocate for a hostage deal to get them out of the hostages out of Gaza so that there's no more bloodshed. They don't support any of that. All they do is support all of this jihadist shit. They claim that they're standing on the right side of history. You're throwing your own community under the bus to further a cause that would have you dead. You are not really supporting innocent Palestinian people. You are not supporting Palestinian kids. You're supporting a terrorist organization. So the fact that he's telling me that I should be shameful, how dare you? As Greta Thunberg would say, how dare you? Frog girl. Anyways, so that friendship ended. I haven't seen him since we did karaoke like a few months before that. I haven't seen him. I don't know what the hell he's up to, and I honestly don't care. The third and final friendship that ended, that really, this one stung because this person really rode through it with me while all this crap was unfolding with the war, and I was shocked when she did this. I was like, wow. So this other friend, we'll call her, we'll do a flower theme too. We'll call her Tulip. So Tulip, she is not American. I'm not going to say which country she's from because that gives too much away, but she is from Europe. Let's say she's from Europe. And which she actually is, but we became friends when I was 16. So I had known her for like almost 10 years. Almost 10 years of friendship. She has stayed at my house. She has been at family functions. She has been at my Thanksgiving table. If her parents have come over, she was basically family to me. And she had known multiple times that I'd been to Israel. She had absolutely no issue with me being Jewish, being supportive of Israel. She had nothing against that. I tell you, nothing. And when she came here for school, and I'm not going to say the school that she went to, let's just say it is in New York City. She did go to school in New York City. So she went to college in New York City. She just changed. Like, I already felt that the friendship was kind of dwindling right when she came because her personality and her demeanor changed. But when she came to school in New York, she just got involved with the wrong people. This is my opinion. She got involved with the wrong people. She started dating the wrong person, ended up breaking up with this person, but then getting back together, which I did not support at all, but told her I didn't support it, and she still did it. That's her business. But she got involved with the wrong people, and she got indoctrinated. She got fully indoctrinated. I'll just give a little bit of detail into who her family is. Her family is so supportive of Israel. They're so supportive of the Jewish community. I think her grandfather or great-grandfather actually hid Jews during the Holocaust and saved Jewish people. So they are friends to the Jews and to Israel. Like, I remember her mom reached out to me and she said, "Oh, I know it's a very hard time right now. I just want to offer my support." And I was like, wow, her family's amazing. I don't know what the hell happened. And I felt our friendship kind of dwindling when she came to the States and started college. She was really turning into a different person, and it wasn't a person that I was vibing with. She just wasn't being a good friend. She just really wasn't being a good friend. it was just very weird. It was just a very weird rift between us. And then this is the situation that ended the friendships. She told me in end of like around November. I literally saw her like 2 days before October 7th happened, and I saw her like a month or two later. We met somewhere and had a drink. I was very upset. And she sat there, she heard me out, and she had told me, she said, I want you to know that my graduation is in May and I would really love for you to be there. I'm gonna save you a ticket, put it down in your calendar. And I said, absolutely. And I put it down in my calendar right then and there. I even requested off of work for it. April comes around and she messages me for my birthday and she says, oh, happy birthday. I'm so happy to have you in my life. And at the end of April, this is when a post that I made kind of rubbed people the wrong way, especially anti-Israel foreigners. I posted that if you are protesting out in the streets and taking part in these encampments and you're saying you're pro-Palestine when really you're not, you're echoing Hamas, that you should be deported. You should have your visa revoked and you should be deported, which I still stand by. If you're supporting a terrorist organization and you're endangering the lives of people and you're making a ruckus in a country that you're not even a citizen of, why should you be here? Go back to your country of origin. I don't want you here. So I said that, and I don't know if that rubbed her the wrong way. She never mentioned that it rubbed her the wrong way, but obviously she's not from here. She's from Europe, and maybe it rubbed her the wrong way because that was at the end of April. And then I texted her. I said, hey, what's going on with your graduation? I requested off. I want to know what time I should get there, my ticket. And she said, I didn't know if you were going to be able to make it. I only get 2 tickets. I'm sorry. And it took her a little while to respond with that. A few days after that initial text of her not having a ticket for me, I got this long paragraph from her. And for context, I had told her in November at the time that we met for drinks what what did I name her? Petunia. Petunia had done to me, of ending it over text and not ending it over DM and not wanting to have a conversation. Petunia is the person that said that I made fun of dead children, which I didn't. I had already told Tulip that this had happened, and it made me very, very upset and why she didn't want to have a conversation. So Tulip did the same shit that Petunia did. And also Chrysanthemum did the same shit, sent me this long-ass message and said, oh, our opinions on the matter are very different, and I don't think... She basically said, I don't think I can have this friendship right now. I need a break. She said, I need a break. I was so furious. This happened while I was at work, and I almost broke down crying. Like, one of my coworkers was like, oh my God, are you okay? And I said, I just lost a 9-year friendship over text. She was like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, just because I support Israel's right to exist. And she said that she needed a break, and I gave it to her. I sent her paragraphs. I was like, I cannot believe you just did what Petunia did. Are you fucking kidding me? Why don't you want to have a conversation about this? Why are you just ending it like this? Don't you want to have a conversation? Don't you want to hear my 2 cents? I have family there in Israel. I have friends in Israel. You don't have shit in Israel. You don't have anyone over there. What's it to you? I deserve to share my piece of it, especially since you have no involvement in this. Neither did Petunia. Like, girl, seriously. And I told her, I said, I had you over at my house. I considered you family. I cannot believe you just did this. I never heard back. I haven't heard from her in over a year. I didn't even tell her parents because that's not my place to tell her parents. But the amount of times I've wanted to just DM her parents and say, I think your daughter needs help. I think she needs some serious deprogramming. And I think like a week ago, it was probably a week ago, I finally unfollowed her. It took a lot of, I don't want to say strength because that sounds silly in this situation. It took a lot of me to hit that button and unfollow her and kind of take her away from my life, because I had so many amazing memories with her. Same with Petunia and even Chrysanthemum. I had great memories with them. And it's easier said than done to actively remove someone from your life. She did it to me. I finally did it to her. I unfollowed her. She's still following me back. That's probably going to change soon. But I had to rip off the Band-Aid because I could not hold on to that any longer. I cannot hold on to that person any longer. My really good friend who is not Jewish, and she is so supportive, and she's just an amazing person. She's one of my oldest friends, like over 10 years from high school. We were having dinner with her mom, and her mom told me that she, every New Year's Eve or at the end of every year, she goes through her contact list. And for anyone that she hasn't spoken to in a very long time, that didn't really hold any significance in her life and didn't really contribute anything friendship wise, she deletes their number. And I don't know if I'll ever delete the numbers. I think that that's going to be really tough, but unfollowing on Instagram, that's a start. And I'm glad that I did it, because I don't deserve to be treated that way. No one deserves to be treated that way, especially of a friendship that's almost 10 years. No one deserves that. And I know I don't deserve that, because I was a great friend, and I know my moral compass is intact. I am a very nuanced person. Even some very pro-Israel and Zionist people get pissed at me sometimes for not compromising my humanity. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm standing up for what's right, and no one is going to tell me that I'm not doing that. I'm not going to let them. I'm not going to let them get in my brain and tell me that. But that's the friend piece. Now the family piece. I don't think I'm going to dwell on this too long, because I've really talked about it a lot on my platform, on my account. I've talked about my dad. I've talked about what that was like. I guess I didn't talk about how exactly it happened, but I was on Birthright in July, end of June, July 2023, and I was planning on extending my stay for 2 weeks. So I was going to be in Israel for 3 weeks. And my mom joined me on my last day, and she was there. We were going to spend the 2 weeks together and just do touristy stuff and have fun. And then we were having breakfast. I will never forget this. It was at, oh my God, I forgot the name of the place. It's still there. And I went there when I went back this summer, and it was very weird going back there. But it's like this American cafe in Tel Aviv. It's on, oh my God, is it on Dizengoff? I think it's on Dizengoff. I was having breakfast, and my dad, long story short, he had really bad health issues. Just a combination of really not taking care of himself and kind of letting himself go really resulted in his decline. And what really made shit hit the fan was a delayed diagnosis by a doctor. And I'm not going to get into that, because it's too painful to talk about that. I've tried seeking legal counsel. I've tried doing that, and no one will take the case. I can't get into it. No one will take the case, and I've really just like made my bed with that, and I've really just tried and not dwelt on it, because I can't do anything anymore. It's been 2 years, and legal counsel is only up to 2 years for this type of situation. So it was just really heartbreaking that what I felt was complete negligence of his health would not be taken on by a lawyer. And it was very, very sad. And I have to keep telling myself that I really tried everything I could to get justice for him, but I can't help but feel like shit. Delayed diagnosis, and he had a bowel obstruction. He had gastric ulcers in the past. He had GI issues in the past, and I cannot believe that they delayed a day to put him in surgery to have that repaired. They had done a scope, and they said, oh, the tissue looks pale, but it's not concerning. The tissue was dying. He went into sepsis the day after that. The day after they did the scope, this was December of 2022, and he almost died. They had to remove most of his small bowel. It was a nightmare. He had to be intubated for a month. He had a colostomy bag. He was on pressors. It was a fucking mess. And this was a man who did not have heart issues. He was on pressors. It was just a very weird situation. And when he woke up, thankfully he remembered me, but his short-term memory was completely gone. He remembered my mom. He remembered certain people that have been in his life for a very long time, but his short-term memory was gone. And for the next 7 months, it was living hell. Hospital back and forth, putting him in a nursing home because his muscles atrophied so much that he couldn't really effectively walk anymore. He was basically skin and bones, and it was so hard seeing him like that. And I basically became the parent, and I'm the only child. And my mom and my stepdad really did everything they could to help. I could not be more grateful, and they stepped in when they didn't really need to. It's a lot to go through that alone as the only child. The death was very sudden. It was while I was in Israel. I told myself I needed to go on this trip because I felt that I was lacking something and I needed to go. I got the call and it was complete bullshit the way that they did it. Literally, a nurse called me twice. One time to say that he went into cardiac arrest and that they got him back, but then he went into it again and they were trying to get him back again. And then the second call was to tell me that he passed. And the doctor didn't even call me, which was such bullshit. I actually had to ask for the doctor to call me. Getting out of Israel for a Israeli airline, El Al, I love you, but you made something that was so traumatic so much more difficult for me. You gave me so many issues trying to get on a flight and get out. You were going to charge me over $1,000 to get out when my flight was paid for by birthright to leave. You made it so difficult. And this was what really made me realize that there's nothing like your own community. There were still people on my birthright trip in Israel who extended, and they came and spent hours with me on the day that he passed. They spent hours with me, and I will never forget that. I don't know if they're going to watch this or not, but I will never forget that. They sat with me. I was completely in a dissociative state, and they literally did everything that they could do with whatever connections they had, with phone calls that they were making, to get me the hell out of there and go back to New York to bury my dad and to sit Shiva. Eventually, I did leave. I thankfully did leave. They only charged me like maybe $200 or $300. I mean, they shouldn't have charged me to begin with, but you know what? You bite the bullet and you just pay whatever they're going to give you that's lower than the ridiculous $1,000 price. But I got back to New York. This was on a Thursday. I got back to New York on Sunday. We buried him on Monday. I sat Shiva alone, even though my mom was there, and she really supported me, and she's literally the best. And all I can say about this experience is that nothing ever prepares you for losing a parent, especially this young. And this is my message to people who have been in the same position as me. You just gotta give yourself a lot of grace. Oh my God, the amount of times I've gone back in my head thinking what I could have done better and what I shouldn't have done. It's really just taken a lot of work, especially talking about it in therapy, that I need to just move on. Remember him, remember the good times, and move on. It's easier said than done, but just give yourself some grace. And if you want to talk, I'd love to talk with you, because there are very few people in my life who have gone through that situation, and it's nice when you're talking with someone who gets it. So that's my message. And just like a random thought that comes into my mind, especially with my dad, he loved Israel. He had been there before. He loved it. He always told me he loved it. And I always wonder what he would be thinking, especially with the things that are going on right now. And I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I think he would have definitely been supportive of Israel. I don't know if he would have been objective. I have no idea. And I'll never know. I have to be okay with that. We are almost 50 minutes into this. Oh my God. Okay. And I still have to talk about school. So what we're going to do, this is the end of episode 1. So this is part 1. You're going to get part 2. And in that, we're going to talk about the war and school, because the war has infiltrated school. This has been episode 1, season 2 of This is Hot Jewish Energy. You can find me at Hot Jewish Energy Podcast. It used to be Hot Jewish Podcast. Now it's Hot Jewish Energy Podcast. And I'm on TikTok. I'm back on TikTok, Hot Jewish Energy, personal, Michael T. Valdes with an S at the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and continue on to part 2 to hear more. All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. This is Hot Jewish Energy. If you liked this episode, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share your favorite moment in the comments. If you're on any of the podcasting platforms, give us a 5-star rating and let us know your favorite part of the show. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.